Westplex 107.1, yes, back when we were younger. Would you want to go back there, Shelley? Want to go back to where you were when you were younger?
I don't really know if I would or not, actually.
But you're only, 29 now, so...
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have that far to go.
I actually, you know what? If I would go back to be younger, I would go back to being a younger mom. Knowing what I know now, I would have been a much better mom.
Interesting. It is BS in the Morning. She is B, I am S. We've got a website, bsinthemorning.show. And matter of fact, you can listen to, we started last week, our full podcasting. And you can go to podcastbs.com to listen to our podcasts.
Podcastbs.com.
Podcastbs.com. Yes, and you will find our podcast right there. And we all also are on, if you're an Apple person, you can search us on Apple. And we are there as well, too. Matter of fact, we are ubiquitous.
We actually are on Alexa, too.
Yeah. Good old Alexa. Yeah, she's a hell of a gal, isn't she? Of course, I get in trouble for saying that. You say she can't say she's a gal. How do you know she's a woman?
Well, I heard that you can actually change her voice to like an English man.
Oh yeah, you can change. And for times they have celebrities do it. You know that? Every once in a while they have like a celebrity who...
I did not know that.
Yeah. Hey, weather-wise, today it's going to be, believe it or not, 60... Excuse me. Yes, I'm right. 64. I'm going like, can that be right? Can it be 64? Yes, 64 today. It's 40 right now, which is not bad. And the rest of the week, this is the high point, 60 today. Tomorrow, 60. Wednesday, 48. Thanksgiving Day, 41. And they're saying rain on Thanksgiving Day. And rain on Black Friday, and rain on Saturday, and rain on Sunday. Although it's going to be nice temperature-wise on Saturday, 62. All the temperatures are going to be above freezing even at night. So we shouldn't have any problem with any of the rain turning into snow. Hopefully that'll be the way it'll be. So it'll be a good, and you know what, the retailers, how many of you heard of going like, have started at the beginning of November, hey, every Friday is a Black Friday in November.
They've already done that. Yeah, they're doing it on Facebook. They're doing it in...
Everybody's doing it.
The mail that comes into the mail that I promptly throw away for no reason.
You.
And they're doing it in stores. I was at the mall yesterday, Mid-Rivers Mall. It's a lovely mall.
Yeah, it is.
And they had Black Friday specials all going on already.
Yeah, because it's a weird calendar this year where there's essentially a week less on the calendar because of Thanksgiving falling late this year. But you know what the heck? It'll still be a nice holiday season. Hard to believe. You know what a month from today is?
Christmas.
Yeah, unbelievable. Well, she is Brad. I am Shelley. We are BS in the Morning. We play some music. As a matter of fact, I know Shelley was rocking out to a song before that. In the end, by weren't you like playing your air guitar?
I always play my air guitar, Brad. And my air drums.
She's a huge Linkin Park fan.
And I pretend like I sing, but I don't do it out loud.
She's going like, oh man, Linkin Park. Yeah, well, man. Anyway, we play some music. We talk. And the best part of the show is when Shelley says outlandish, weird stuff that I call BS on. Because of the fact that most of the time she's like, if she says it's black, it's white. If she says it's red, it's green. That's the way it normally rolls, right?
That is so not true.
Yes, it is.
Well, maybe a little bit, but do you have to tell everybody?
We're going to take a break at 6:19. Westplex 107.1. Yes, welcome to my house, man. Welcome to our house. It's the house of BS, right?
That's absolutely correct. Everybody's welcome.
The house that...
Come on in.
The house that BS built. Yeah, it's right here. BS in the Morning.
Yeah, we built something now, right?
I don't know how I got on this, but I'm on BS in the Morning, the Las Vegas version. I'm on their mailing list now. I don't know how I got on their mailing list. I get emails from them. If you don't know the story, it used to be, first off, the guy's name it's not an S name. It used to be Brittany. That was a real name. And Sparks, BS in the Morning. And Sparks' name does not start with an S. They just called him Sparks. And B, Brittany left. And now it's Izzy. So there's no B anymore. So how can they be BS in the Morning if there's no B?
Beautiful Izzy?
I don't know.
They could call her Busy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
that is so perfect.
Put a biz in front of
them
be in front. Yeah, I'm busy in the morning. Anyway, this is our show. We are local. We are right here in the Westplex. Yes, and we do it Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. We give you weather. We give you all sorts of stuff. We give you traffic every morning. Every 5 minutes, I give you traffic report.
And Brad gives you BS every 5 minutes as well.
You're supposed to call BS on the fact that I do traffic. You know, it's funny. I had somebody the other day going like, "How come I listen to your show? How come you don't do traffic?" "Oh, what do you mean?" "Well, you're the traffic guy, aren't you?" "No, that's my brother." "Oh, okay."
Well, you kind of are the traffic guy. You're the pioneer that brought it to the St. Louis Metro.
No, not
and
that.
people remember Brad Hildebrand,
They don't know
Alan
who
Barklage in the jet copter.
They don't know who the hell I am. That's all there is to it. It is 6:31. It is BS in the morning. Once again, we are podcasting. If you want to listen to any of the things we've done, we started last week. We've got it on you can go to bsinthemorning.show and then click on the podcast link, or easier yet, you can just go to podcastbs.com and it'll take you right there. Lots of stuff to talk about this morning. Shelley, do you got any things that you're going to want to talk about? We don't talk too much politics on this show, although over the weekend, it's interesting that Michael Bloomberg has jumped into the...
I saw that on Facebook. Therefore, it's real.
Yeah, the Democratic, he's wading in with the masses. The only difference is that he is a billionaire with a B, and it was already, Bernie Sanders is already complaining, because he's going like, although Bernie Sanders is a millionaire, he's complaining about billionaires. Don't you hate it when you have somebody
Wasn't Trump a billionaire?
Oh yeah, he still is. But don't you hate it when someone's like, I'm only a millionaire. Dude, there are like in the country, I don't care, they talk about millionaires and billionaires. If you make, I think the number's up to like, I don't know, I think it's like $240,000 a year. I'll double check that. But if you make $240,000 a year, you're in the top 1%. And a lot of times when you hear that number, you go like, wow, $240,000. And I'm not, that's a fair amount of money.
I didn't know I was in the top 1%.
Oh, yeah, listen to you. But there are a lot of people that make that kind of, there's government workers who are making close to that. You know what I mean?
That's true. There is.
Yeah. there's.
But they've also got some very significant positions in the government.
Like dog catcher?
They don't have dog catchers in the government.
The heck they don't. There are dog catchers at the various governments in the cities and things like that.
Those are city employees.
They don't call them dog. Well, they're government. That's government, isn't it? I'm not talking about feds. I'm talking about there are people in local government.
Whenever I talk about government, I talk about feds.
Hey, my old buddy Patty Wente, when she used to run KWMU, she worked for the state, because KWMU is owned by the University of Missouri. She made more money than the governor.
I believe that.
It's not BS. It's true, but you sort of scratch your head and you go like, no, hold on a minute. How does a lady who runs a radio station in St. Louis make more money than the governor who runs the entire state? How is that possible? Well, that's just the way it is. Isn't that the GS stuff?
It is just the way it is.
Well, and they don't have GS stuff in state though, do they? Don't they have a different rating system in state?
They do have a different rating system. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now we know.
And actually, a lot of the government entities, federal government entities, have gone away from the GS system. Instead of government scale, it's like the FAA did that. They got away from the GS scale and went to a different pay scale.
Well, we have the same thing here. We used to be on the GS system. Now we're on the BS system. And the more,
I see what you did there. Who's funny?
The more BS.
And a mic monkey. Who knew?
The more BS, the more you make. We don't discriminate. We're all about the output. You know what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
Hey,
nothing is sacred.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're going to take a break at 6:34. Westplex 107.1. You like that song, Shelley? Is that one of your favorites?
I do. I really do. It's not one of my favorites, but I like it quite a lot.
I could play music.
It kind of makes you feel good.
I could play music backwards, and I'd say, hey, Shelley, you like that song? Oh, I love that song.
Well, I don't like every song.
Oh, well, good for that. You don't like Disco Duck?
I love Disco Duck. You cannot go wrong with Disco Duck. It's like a staple of America.
It's like a staple to the head. It hurts.
It is not true. Everybody knows Disco Duck. It doesn't matter if you're a young child to an older person. Everybody loves Disco Duck.
Just think about a year ago, I was rappelling off the side of the Caesars Hotel in Las Vegas on the Strip to the tunes of Disco Duck.
I believe that.
Well, it was funny because when you do the rappelling thing, they ask you, it's like the baseball players. They have like the walk-up music. Hey, what music were you going to play when you walk up to the plate? Well, they have this deal where when you do Over the Edge, you rappel off the side of buildings, they'll say, hey, do you want, what music do you want when you come down? So there's the DJ down there at the bottom. And he's asking me, he says, hey, what music you want? I go, Disco Duck. And I'm going like, he'll never find that. So apparently he went out on iTunes or one of the other, social or one of the other music sites and downloaded it and played it for me.
Well, if he was worth his salt, he would have done that.
Well, he did.
So he was very good at his job.
And he was all salty, too. He looked like a pretzel, had that little, little things of salt all over him.
Uh-huh.
You said he was worth his salt. How did you know he was a pretzel guy?
I'm psychic.
638. Westplex 107.1. Yes, you can make it if you want to. Good morning to you. It's BS in the Morning.
I'm Brad, and he's Shelley.
You just talk right over them singing.
I did?
Yeah, shame on you. But
I didn't know they
I'll give you pass
singing.
this time.
Aren't they supposed to be
No.
off?
Well, there's a little bit of a tail to the music there, a little bit of the outro there, and then they sing at the very end. So I was talking over the little tail of the music there, and then they sung. But yet you stepped on the vocal, and you know what you're going to go...
I stepped on the vocal because I thought it was dead air because I couldn't hear them.
You're going to go into the DJ hell for the rest of the day. You're going to be made fun of.
I'm already in DJ hell.
Well, here's how you can get out of DJ hell. Hear that?
Oh, you brought your bell.
Yes, that's my
I got mine
official.
too.
That's my official Salvation Army issue bell. Okay, pretty much every place you go, retail-wise, you might have to go a couple stores down if you're like in a strip mall or something like that. But you're going to hear the bell because the Salvation Army bell ringers are out in force this year. It's really cool. Shelley and I have tested it, and it works. If you say, well, I don't ever have any money with me, so I can't put it into the kettle. Hey, guess what? They got a little placard there on most of the bells, most of the bell hanger things that you can scan. There's a QR code thing for Apple, and even if you don't have an Apple phone, Shelley proved that with her Android, you can still scan the QR code on either an Apple or an Android, and it'll take you to donate the money to the Salvation Army. Is that a cool deal or what?
You don't. That is correct, and you don't have to download a specific app. It'll recognize it, and then a screen will pop up on your phablet, and it will say, did you want to donate? Click here, and it takes you to the Salvation Army site, and you can actually pay with PayPal if you wanted to, or you can pay with a credit card. And then after you've paid and you've donated something, it sends you back a really nice receipt.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And once again,
it's very cool.
The important aspect of this is that I tested it on my iPhone. Shelley tested it on her Android. And it works. You don't have to have, like she said, which is important, because some people say, well, I don't have the QR code reader. You don't have to. You just take a picture of it, and if you hold your iPhone over it, pretty soon what will happen is, at least it did on mine, you'll have a little pop-up across the top of the screen that it'll say, something to the effect, click here to go to donate to the Salvation Army. You just click, and it just takes you to the website. So it's super easy. So don't be telling us that you don't put money in the kettle because you don't have money with you. They don't carry money. I don't have any money with me. That cracks me up, people that talk about that, because,
I don't have money with me. I don't carry money.
But if you've ever taken a survival course, and I'm not talking like a survival course where you're like out in the Sahara Desert, but if you ever take one of these courses that they talk about, like if we have, like for example, if we had an earthquake in the St. Louis area, or a really traumatic storm, a snowstorm that knocked off all the power, or an ice storm, we've had those, so be prepared for that, or something bad like a tornado or something like that. Where look what happened in Joplin. Remember that? That city was like on its knees leveled for like weeks.
It was leveled.
Well, even the spots that weren't leveled, there were a lot of Joplin was not, impacted by the tornado, but still the power was out almost all over. The phone lines were down. And once again, when the power's out And when and especially some of the places have generators, but even still, if the internet's down, if the phone lines are down, guess what? Your credit card don't work at any of those places. So if you don't have cashola, guess what? You're not buying gas, you're not buying groceries, stuff like that. So everybody, I think most of the survival people tell you should have at least like $300 or $400 worth of cash laying around. Just once again, because when things get bad, you could walk up to a guy who's selling gasoline and you could say, hey, do you have a credit card reader? No, I take cash only.
People do that now anyway.
Right. So that's the deal. Go
Did
once
I miss
again.
something?
No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, hear that bell. Bell ringers, they're out there, lots of places. Thank you, Schnooks. Thank you, Deerbergs. Thank you, Wally World, because they're the big boys that
and Farm and Home.
Yes, let the Salvation Army people stand in front and ring those bells. And don't be, I'm sorry. I don't want to hear anybody. I'm going to get on my high horse here and say, don't feel intimidated, by the Salvation Army people. If you don't want to give money, they get it. They'll still smile at you,
And they'll wish you a good day, and it's they just give with no whether you put in nothing or change or $100 bill. I remember you'll be treated the exact same way.
I remember reading that article. We'll talk about the thing that happened, and we won't go into it, but I won't mention people remember what happened. But some people were responding saying, I hate it when those people are in front. I hate it when the Girl Scouts are in front, trying to sell stuff. It just bothers me. They shouldn't be there. It's like, give me a break. The Girl Scouts aren't grabbing you by the hair and, pushing your face down into the pavement saying, give me money, for cookies. Matter of fact, what's weird? Last weekend, not this weekend, last weekend, the Girl Scouts were out at a couple places selling nuts. Have you ever seen that before?
I have not.
Yeah, and to the point where when I walked out, and the one nice mother was, hey, would you like to buy some Girl Scout, snacks? I go, cookies? No, that'll be in March. I go, you know what? I'm not a nut guy. Cookies? Yeah, I'd be there buying cookies from you, but I'm not really a nut guy. And she even said to me, she says, well, give them to your friends. I go, I don't have any friends. Oh, she says, okay, fine, I get it. And she says, when I said that, she says, oh, you're Brad, aren't you?
That's funny. I can see somebody saying that to you, aren't you?
Right. Okay, we're going to take a break at 6:54. Westplex 107.1, Saturday sun. Was it sunny on Saturday? Yes, it was, wasn't it? Wasn't it, Shelley? It was a nice Saturday.
It was lovely.
Yeah, it was a nice weekend. Yesterday was nice, too.
All weekend and kind of took a nap.
You took
from my busy schedule last week.
You took a nap?
It was beautiful.
A nap all weekend?
Kind of, yeah.
Wow. So you were super unproductive this weekend is what you're telling me?
Oh, I was productive, but there was a lot of sleeping involved.
Okay. Let me think about that a minute.
I took a lot of breaks.
Sleeping.
A lot of sleeping.
Somehow productivity and sleeping don't seem like they belong in the same thought. But anyway, that's
not true. I'm refreshing my mind so I can be sharper to help grow people's businesses. It's very productive, Brad.
I listen to lots of stuff when I drive. I listen to the radio, of course, and I listen to some podcasts and things like that. But not this weekend, but the past weekend, I heard a researcher talking about sleep. And they're always discovering things about sleep and things like that. And they're saying that there's some kind of, I can't remember exactly how they explained it, but when you sleep, it like washes your brain. And they actually said it's some kind of like chemical, almost like, a slow process where this like, it's almost like a wave of these, whatever it is in your brain goes across your brain and refreshes your brain. Do you believe that?
I do. See, there you go. I am refreshed and ready to take on the week.
So if you've done a lot of sleeping this weekend, you should be able to quote poetry for me. You should be able to figure out, complex equations on the air. If I gave you one, you'd be able to figure that out for me. You'd be able to tell me that if I dropped let's say if I dropped a brick from a 20-story building, how fast will that brick be traveling when it hits the ground?
It'll be traveling at 0.
No, just before it hits the ground, how fast will it be traveling?
I used to be able to do all those fun little things, but I can't do them anymore. I don't do numbers.
I remember when my one college physics class I took was taught by this guy who literally was a rocket scientist. This guy worked at McDonnell Douglas in the old days, or Boeing, or whatever it was back then. And he was actually from England, and he had his PhD in physics. And he was here working on the Star Wars projects. That'll date it. And we used to do these things. That's what we did. Oh my! Some of them were so fun. Some of them were so frustrating. You had to figure out that kind of stuff. A bullet is being fired from a gun, and the muzzle velocity is blah blah blah, and it slows down at so many feet per second. Blah 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 blah. It impacts a wall, 300 yards away, or is all in meters. How fast was the bullet traveling when it hit the wall? And you'd have to figure that out. It's like, my favorite one was. This has nothing to do with physics, although it is. There's this guy that taught this course online of how to get out of speeding tickets. Okay, you ready for this? And I don't think they do this anymore because it's been thrown out of court so much. But there used to be a course they would teach to some of the police officers where if a police officer was standing on the street, he could estimate within 5 to 10 miles an hour how fast you were going. They taught this class. Okay, you with me so far?
Uh-huh.
And the idea being is that if a police officer was, like, let's say he was stationary in his car, but he didn't have his radar on, and you blew past him, he could estimate how fast you were going, and then he'd drive up and, come up to you and give you a ticket. And this guy talked about how he got one of these tickets where the police officer, told him, well, I could tell you were doing at least 20 to 25 miles an hour over the speed limit because I took the class. And the guy represented himself in court and said, so in other words, you can tell me how fast an object is moving just by looking at it? And the police officer, he says, yes, I'm trained to do that. So the guy holds up a pencil above his head and drops it on the ground and says, okay, how fast was that pencil traveling when it hit the ground? And the cop goes, well, I don't know. He looked at the judge and said, Your Honor, I motion to dismiss. And the judge says, granted. And the case got thrown out.
That's funny.
Is that weird? I mean, but I don't think they do that anymore. Way back when, they used to have this system that was really tricky. I don't think any of the police departments use it anymore. It was called VASCAR. Have you ever heard of VASCAR? It wasn't radar. It was VASCAR. You know what VASCAR was?
I do not.
VASCAR was this computer system they put in police cars. And let's say you would put it into like the learning mode. There was 2 modes that went in. There was the learning mode and there was the actual speed detection mode. So in other words, if you were a police officer and you had 2 points you picked out, like let's say you had a speed limit sign and then like the start of a guardrail. So in other words, you drive your police car and you would drive it at the speed limit. So let's say you're doing it on the highway and you're doing 55 miles an hour and you would hit one button when you hit when you passed by the sign, and then you hit the second button when you would pass by the beginning of the guardrail. And that would calibrate the VASCAR system. Then you could go sit off of the highway or whatever, behind a bush or something like that, where nobody would see you. You wouldn't have to stick your radar gun out. And as people went by, you visually would hit the button when the vehicle hit, the first landmark that you programmed into the computer, and then you hit the button when the vehicle passed the second landmark you programmed into the computer, and would tell you its speed. And it got thrown out because of the fact that people were going like, well, how do you know he didn't, hit it too quick or too slow? That's the way they do it with the airborne stuff. They got the blocks painted on the highway. You know what I'm talking about? Do you ever notice those?
I do, but I don't. Isn't that what they say is, that it's air radar?
Yeah, but they do the same thing. They do it with the stopwatch, and they've got it calibrated. So in other words, it's either in an airplane or helicopter, and they fly over that area where they've got the marks painted on the highway, and they hit the stopwatch. When you hit the first, a square on the highway, boonk, they hit the stopwatch. Start. When they hit the second square on the highway, boonk, hit the stopwatch to stop, and they've got a chart. So many, however many seconds, that tells you how fast you were going. And every once in a while, those will get thrown out of court, too, because people will say, well, how do I know the police officer clicked the stopwatch at the right point? What if I was, not quite to that black or the white block on the highway? And sometimes the judge will, okay, fine, okay, you're out, But they're always trying to get you. Did you see the thing over in the weekend over the paper, the Post-Dispatch, about the deal with the temporary license plates?
No.
That crap.
But did you know that the only difference between a regular driver's license and the real ID is a little bitty label up in the right-hand corner?
Well, no, that's not. I mean, there's more to it than that. If I'm not mistaken.
What is it?
Well, the real.
Because it's ridiculous.
No, the real ID. I think they do a biometric scan on your eyes. I think that's the deal, and that's somehow embedded into your driver's license. I will have to check that, but I know that's part of the deal. That matter of fact, they do that. Do you know they do that like in some of the some of our military guys who are in combat zones in Iraq and places like that. They categorize people, the people of the natives. I shouldn't say the natives, but the people that live there. They
categorize them?
Yeah, they put them into the scanner because they can claim they're anybody they because over there a lot of them, people don't have IDs. You don't have what's an ID? I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car. I've got a camel or whatever. Or I got a mule. I don't. I have a car. I have a bicycle. I have a motorcycle. You don't need a driver's license in Iraq or Afghanistan and things like that. So what they do is they actually take pictures of. They do the biometric scan of the eye and they put that into a database.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what my phablet was doing, because you can actually unlock your phone with the biometric scan of your eye.
Yeah, your phablet was over in Afghanistan scanning people's eyes. That's what
Okay. What was your original question to me?
My original question was, what's the definition of life?
That's not your original question.
It was.
The definition of life matters on three principles.
Okay.
Your health,
yeah,
the content of your character, and the ripples that you leave behind.
And the amount of BS you listen to in the morning, right? Westplex 107.1. Yes, lost in Japan. Good morning to you. It is BS in the morning. I'm Beach. Excuse me. Talk, Shelley. I'm coughing there.
Yes, I'm here, Brad.
No, you weren't there. The other words, you would have said something. She snuck in at the last minute there. It is BS in the morning. Going to be a nice day today. Have the complete forecast coming up in about 10, 12 minutes from now from guess who?
Jennifer Wojcicki.
She loves saying that name.
I do. I just love it. I hate to have to spell it all the time or have somebody butcher it, because they do.
Sun's out already. It's going to be a nice day. It depresses me when I look at the sunset and sunrise times, and I looked at it yesterday, and it was 4:41 in the afternoon. I'm going, oh, God, 4:41. It's only going to get worse. The next, I think we've got, today's the 25th? So we have, 28 days, 27 days, something like that, till it turns around. Once we hit the winter solstice, then every day it gets longer. It's always my favorite day of the year. When you hit, it's right before Christmas, and then you're going like, okay, every day it's better. So we like that. Hey, don't forget, you're out and about. Hear the bell. That's the Salvation Army bell. Put some money in the kettle. We talked about it last hour. This year, they've got the new thing where if you don't have any cash with you, you can scan a QR code on either your Android or your Apple phone, and you can donate from your phone. And it's really simple to do. You can make they give you a suggested donation, or you can just put in a custom amount. And it's super easy. The money goes right to the Salvation Army people and literally ends up in their account the next day. So if you do it today, it'll post to their account tomorrow, and they'll have the money, and they help out a lot of people. I mean, you do not know how many people they help out. And all you have to do is go and listen to one of the Salvation Army people that we deal with, some of the majors, the lieutenants or the captains, the lieutenant colonels, and talk about the people that they come in contact with on a daily basis that they help out. And quite honestly, some of the, I guess we'll call them Salvation Army graduates, some of the people who have had substance abuse problems, some of the people who at one point in time were homeless, some of the people who couldn't afford to buy any food, and what those people are doing today. It's always a nice, warm, fuzzy kind of feeling to see what the Salvation Army does for people. And once again, you've been around them, I've been around them. They are a different breed of people. They
really are. They are just so gentle. They're genteel.
I couldn't do what they do.
They're funny.
Yeah.
And
they are.
They don't judge. They're not judgmental whatsoever in the least, and they're very open and inviting.
Yeah, and unlike some people on the radio station who say they won't judge, but then they judge. Should we tell that story, or should we not tell that story?
No, not at all.
You're a chicken. You're a chicken, Shelley Barr.
I'm respectful, Brad.
It was an email that one of our clients.
So you're going to tell it anyway?
No, I'm not going to tell the story, but I'll just say it was one of those things where it's like, okay, get a life. You know, I mean, it's one of those things.
It really was. It's like, okay, well, at least you're hearing the ad.
Every once
that was good for us.
God, I mean, through my years in the radio business, every once in a while you get somebody who will call you up and they'll go, I heard an ad in your radio station and it said blah, 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 blah. And that's not the case. That's not true. What do you mean it's not true? Well, it's not true. I go, okay, why do you say it's not true? And sometimes it's bizarre, weird stuff. You know, I mean, you go like, okay, you know, where is this person? You know, are they from this planet? Or are they from another planet? Because, you know, what they'll tell you is sort of like, okay, I don't quite understand where you're going with that. But, you know, one of those crazy things. Or, man, if you work retail, oh, my God. I mean, people I know who work retail, I mean, you should hear the stories they tell. People come in, you know, do stuff, these bizarre stuff, try to steal stuff, you know, weird things.
They really do. And there's no reason for it, really.
Well, it's called, you know, in the business, it's called shrinkage. You know, and, you know, I mean, you know, and there's so many times that you see, and nowadays, I mean, I would be afraid to do that. You know, anyway, just wouldn't do it. But I'd be afraid nowadays because there's so many video cameras in most of these stores. You know what I mean? They got you from like 5 different angles at any point you're in the store. It's amazing. But yet people steal stuff all the time. So what are you going to do? You know, and I know some of the stores have a non-intervention policy. If you're, you know, that you could walk into a store, be right in front of like one of the clerks and one of the managers and go, hey, watch me steal this. And you put on like a coat or something like that, walk out the door. They won't do anything because the policy is that we don't want to get involved. We don't want to have somebody sue us for, you know, somebody, you know, us tackling them as they go out the door or anything like that. You know, weird. One of those things, huh?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm a professional shopper. It's an art, actually. And so I don't try things on as a rule. I just know what I like. I'll go there, I'll pick out my size, and then I'll carry it around with me to decide whether or not I really want, need, or, you know, whether I want it or need it. And a lot of times I'll put it back. But a lot of times I won't. I'll buy it. But then when I carry it long enough, it's funny. So when I carry it long enough, I see people like, you know, random people jotting their eyes at me and then turning away. So I think they have like the police patrol on me because they think I'm going to steal it.
Okay, so you walk around with it? What? So,
I do. Clothes.
So what does the walking around have something to do with the buying cycle? That like if you walk around,
it does for me. Because I literally walk around with it, and then I look at different things, and then when I get to the point, I'm like, do I really want this? No, I'll just put it back. So I put it back.
You know what? I'm going to take your advice on that. I'm going to go to Chris Offenberg Ford today. I'm going to drive one of those new F-150s. I'm going to drive it around for 2 or 3 days, and then I'm going to go like, I don't think I want it. I'm just going to take it back. What do you think?
They actually let you do that.
Never mind.
Well, they do.
Never mind.
It's actually a 3-day right of refusal.
Yeah, go ask Gus, and he'll tell you about that, right? I can't talk now. 7:26.
That's what you get.
Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the morning. I am B, she is S, and we do a show together every morning, Monday through Friday, except when Shelley's too tired to get out of bed. She's been relaxing too much, right?
No, I don't take naps during the week. I used to whenever I had my little settee in my old office. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty lovely, but my new office doesn't have a settee.
Well, now she lies down on the treadmill, and then the firefighters come in and turn the treadmill off and watch her fly off. Oh.
Yeah, and I landed to the wall.
Have you
it's
seen
kind of funny. They like it.
Have you seen this video? I tried to find it again. I saw it last week. It was so funny. This guy at the gym, and he's on a treadmill running, but he's got a shopping cart in front of him on the treadmill, and the caption of the video is "Getting ready for Black Friday." It's so funny because he's literally on the treadmill, you know, and obviously he's on the back of the treadmill because obviously the shopping cart's on the front of the treadmill. It's not one of the full-size shopping carts, one of those smaller kind of, you know, shopping carts that some like that Schnucks and Deerbergs now have.
Yeah,
you don't
the
have
little baby one.
Yeah, and he's on the treadmill running, pushing the shopping cart, and the shopping cart is just rolling around on the treadmill. Hey, how about this? I know you're not a big sports fan, but you are a selfie fan, okay? Have you heard this story which happened yesterday?
No, what?
The title of the story is Washington Redskins quarterback Dwayne Haskins missed the last play of the game taking a selfie. Okay, this is the Washington Redskins quarterback.
That's my man.
And there's a picture of him doing this. Anyway, the Washington Redskins were winning, and there was some more time on the clock. It was at the very end of the game, and there was more time on the clock, and he thought that they'd already won. He thought the clock had run out. So he runs to, and it's a pretty funny picture. It's not the actual selfie, but a photographer took a picture of him holding out the camera in front of him next to a fan, and the fan's like hanging out over the seat, like he's got like the barrier there, and they're both smiling at the camera. And what he didn't realize was they had to run out the clock, so they sent in the backup quarterback, Case Keenum, who, believe it or not, used to be here in St. Louis with the Rams, and he did the final, the victory formation where they essentially, snap the ball and he takes a knee. So oh no, there it is. There is the selfie. They took the selfie. Yeah, here's the selfie. And the guy's name is Michael Phillips. Did Haskins miss the kneel down because he was taking selfies with fans? Yes, that was the case.
That's hilarious.
Yes. And
can he get in trouble for that?
Oh yeah, matter of fact, the coach, I think the guy's name is Callahan, isn't the coach of the Washington Redskins? Interim head coach Bill, because they had their head coach. They fired the regular head coach. So this is interim head coach Bill Callahan told reporters everyone was looking for Haskins after the interception. Quote, "We were looking for him," Callahan said, laughing. "We were looking for him, too. I think he thought the game was over. We'll have to find out. I'll have to find out a little bit more. I know we called for a new victory formation in case Keenum came out on the field." So here he was taking a selfie and the game wasn't over. Oh, my God. Can you believe that? Now
Sounds like something I would do, isn't it?
Well, they won, but can you imagine if they would have lost because of that?
Because of that one.
Because he's on the sideline taking a selfie? It would be like, okay, I don't think he would have a job too much longer. That would be, I think, in most people's minds, reason for, especially the fans, like, okay, now hold on a minute. Now, you lost the game because you were on the sidelines taking a selfie with a fan? Nope, you're out.
Yeah, but would the fans be upset because it wasn't them? Or the fact that he lost the game because of it?
Well, thank heaven they won the game. Washington has not had a good year so far, so it's interesting. And, the other thing that cracks me up, I can't remember if Boston Patriots or the New England Patriots won yesterday. Last week, they were, I don't know if they play yesterday, they play tonight or whenever. I don't know. I'm not a big football fan, you can tell. But last week, they were 9-1, okay? They've won 9 games. They lost 1. And people are talking about like, oh, are the New England Patriots how come they're not doing so well this season? And is Tom Brady finished because they're only 9-1? I'm going like, they're only 9-1? I mean, who would complain about being 9-1? You know what I mean? And especially like when they're saying the team isn't playing well. Okay, it's well enough to win 9 of their 10 games. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, I do.
What do they want? They want them undefeated?
This is going to hurt me more than I hurt you, but I have to agree with you on that one.
Really? I mean,
yep.
You listen to the sports, talk shows, and that's what they're talking. Well, Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's 42, 43, something like that. He's like a robot. I mean, normally you don't last that long in football, especially after getting tackled. And quarterbacks don't take as much abuse as like the linemen, but still, they get beat up. They get, sacked and knocked around. And, the body just wears out after a while. And I can't believe it. So I'll double check to see what they did yesterday. We'll see people going like, oh, they lost yesterday. Now they're 9-2. I mean, like when the Rams were here, I think most fans would have gone like, yes, 9-2. Oh, yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying.
After all the crappy seasons we endured with them. Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Westplex 107.1. Yes, Sean Mendez. Good morning to you, 7:51. It is a Monday morning. Going to be a high of 64 today. Going to be sunny. Going to be a nice day today. Well, Shelley, I did my research in that last break. We talked about how people are getting upset with the New England Patriots because they're not playing like they should. They won yesterday. They won, what was it, 13-10, I think it was, over 13-9, something like that, over Dallas yesterday. So they're 10-1. And I'm reading the comments online. People are saying, they don't look good. Tom Brady's not scoring enough touchdowns. Hey, they won. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes people are just aren't happy, aren't you? Know what I'm saying?
That's very true. You know, a team can play and play and play and play and play and play excellent. And the one or two times that they just weren't on their game, you know, whoosh, the floodgates open and people start me.
That's like Shelley. I mean, sometimes, you know, we'll have a, you know, sometimes our show won't be, you know, it'll be like maybe instead of being a 10 like it normally is, it'll be like a 6 or 7, and people will just rip her apart on Facebook. Shelley, you.
They don't do that on Facebook, but they do text me.
Excuse me, there goes my cough again. Excuse me. It is BS in the Morning. You can listen to our podcast. This is new. You can go and listen to them on our website of bsinthemorning.show, or if you want to go directly to the podcast page, it's podcastbs.com. Yes, Podcast BS, which stands for, of course, you know, Brad and Shelley. Wouldn't stand for anything else. Podcastbs.com. And, you know, Shelley's all excited. Of course, we're listed on you can find us on
Apple iTunes.
Apple iTunes. Although, but see, that's weird. They're getting rid of the, you know, God, it gets so confusing. You know, everybody, it's like I had this discussion with a client last week. It's like, everything changes, you know, it's like just when you get to the point when you figure out, like, you know, okay, this is how Facebook works, then they change it. Then they change the algorithm. And what used to be, you know, get you up on the, you know, on the top listing in Google is now you don't even show up on the page anymore. It's like, okay, they just do it just to screw with us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, they do.
It's sort of like what women do with guys.
It's a refined art.
You're not going to debate that? You're not going to say, that's not true?
I will absolutely not debate that.
Really? So you're saying that women do mess with guys like that? That's what you're telling me?
And men mess with women, but we're a little bit more overt about it.
So why is that? Why is it that, you know, like if you have if you go and you had dinner with a woman and you have a great time and then she won't ever call you back? Why is that?
Because did you call her?
Well, I mean, you know, it's to the point where...
Are you waiting for these women to call you back, Brad?
It goes back to that old goofy book that I remember years ago. And they used to have those women on the Oprah show all the time. Because, you know, I'm a guy in tune with my feelings. I used to watch Oprah in the afternoons. Anyway, that's when I had a TV. The gals that wrote the book, The Rules, you know, I'm talking about the dating book.
Yeah. That was actually back out in.
It goes back in the 90s, but they
about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, but it comes and goes. It's really interesting. It originally was published like in the 90s, and Oprah picked up on it like this.
So does The Secret. The Secret comes and goes.
Right. So you know, people get tired of it. But they have like the Wednesday rule. You know what the Wednesday rule is?
I do not.
If you are a woman and you have not been asked out by Wednesday night for a Saturday night date, you are unavailable. So if a guy calls you up like on Thursday and says, "Hey, Shelley, what are you doing Saturday night?" "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy."
I don't have a problem with that.
You don't?
Nope.
Oh, that's stupid. Stupid games.
Did you just call me stupid?
That's
I know
stupid.
You didn't.
It's stupid.
Oh, no, you didn't.
It's stupid. I mean, it's to the point where that would be like saying let's take it out of the dating analogy. It would be like if you were going to go buy a new car. And you know, the car dealer said to you, "Hey, you know, we got this special deal for you today," and you know, like it's like it'd be like Friday, and you go like, "I'm sorry, you didn't ask by Wednesday, so I'm not going to buy the car."
Well, okay, so it's totally a Mars-Venus kind of thing.
But it's stupid.
But
so you as a woman, if you were a single woman, you're just going to sit home on Saturday night when some guy asks you out for like on Thursday night and said, "Hey, let's go, you know, I got tickets to blah, blah, blah for Saturday night. I just got them." And you'd go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not available." Because
well, that doesn't mean I was going to stay home.
Well, but let's say you weren't going to stay home. I mean, you know, to me, that's you read these, and it's not.
Does it hurt your little feelings?
No. It's not dating. It's all sorts of other crazy things. You read things that say, this is the way you should do things. You should never, when you go for a job interview, you should never do this, and you should always do that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've read those stories before, and I do lots of job interviews. If someone did what they told you to do, I would never hire you. You know what I mean? I mean, things like that. I read something yesterday. It's pretty interesting. The guy was talking about the fact that that if you really want a job and you really want to succeed, what you should do is you should go to a place where you really want to work, and you go to the head guy, the manager, the owner, whatever, and you go, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come here to work for you for 90 days for free. I'm not going to ask you for anything. I'm not going to ask you for, parking money. I'm not going to ask you for transportation money. I'm not going to ask you for anything. I'm going to work here for 90 days, and I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to be the world's best person in this place. And after 90 days, all I ask is two things. Either A, you hire me, or B, you give me some referrals. One of the two. I mean, obviously, I'd like it. You'd hire me. And if you don't, give me some referrals. And the guy made the point of saying that alone would advance you in your career more than anything, because his point was that you can always make money. You have to work, you work 90 days for free. You can always make money in your life, but you can't always make those connections, and you can't always, make those skill level things that you gain from even working for somebody for 90 days. I mean, think about it. If you worked at most places, if you just walked in off the street and you worked at a place 90 days and you really got immersed in that business, you'd know a lot about that business, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So that's his point. And I thought it was pretty interesting.
That's actually true. And I actually agree with you. Oh, my God, that's twice in one day. I don't know what this world is coming to. But also, if you want to get a job, when you go for that interview, you look them right in the eye and you tell them, I want this job. This job is mine. And then you also, and I'll tell you this, so a second level manager, he's no longer with us. His name is Orlando Ehlers. Anyway, he was in the upper echelon of the FAA, and he was Puerto Rican, which doesn't mean anything, but he did have a hard time, saying, you could see him translating in his mind, from English to the Puerto Rican language. And anyway, to make a long story short, he sat on the edge of his chair, and I mean, he was ready to go, and he was up against some strong competition, and he got that job because he was sitting on the edge of the chair and he couldn't wait to sit there and make a difference.
And because he could speak Puerto Rican?
Yeah, he was dual language. Yes.
There's no such language as Puerto Rican.
I didn't say there was. Stop it. Out of all of that lovely banter, that's what you got out of it?
Well, you know what, Shelley? I can speak South St. Louis.
So can I.
I'm gonna ride a horse today. I'm gonna ride a horse, and then I'm gonna go out in the field.
What did you do that for?
I'm gonna pick some corn. Gonna get some corn, and when I'm gonna drive in my favorite highway, which is Farty Far.
Farty Far. And you have to put a quarter.
A quarter, not a quarter, a quarter. Got to put a quarter in the parking meter, right? Okay, we're going to take our last break. How did we get there from talking about the goofy?
It just kind of flows.
The goofy book, not The Secret, which some people would say is a goofy book, but what is it? What was it? The rules, the dating rules for women. Yeah. And also, one of the other ones. God, I read this just the other day. These gals, I don't know how in the world they keep making money off this book. There's the 3-to-1 rule. You know what the 3-to-1 rule is?
I have no idea.
That
doesn't sound like something I'd be interested in.
For every 3 times a man contacts you, you ignore him twice. So in other words, you only respond every third time. So if he calls you and you see his number come up on your caller ID, you ignore it. And if he texts you, you ignore it. And then the third time you talk to him, and then it starts over again. I'm going like, this is so goofy. I just read this just the other day, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this book's been out 20 years now, and they're still talking about this. And it's funny, I think both of them...
It's been out for 20 years. You just read it the other day.
No. There was an article about it.
Now picking up on those points.
No, there was an article about it again, and was talking about how somehow this book, even though it's been around for a while, it's still like the Bible for women who are out dating. I'm thinking to myself, okay, give it a rest. You know, I mean, what happened? I mean, and I'm
How
not
come
necessarily.
they don't have one of those for guys?
But see, you're exactly right. That's the goofy
They should
thing
really
about
have
it.
something
Right.
for guys,
You know
because
what?
guys are clueless.
I'm going to write that. Okay,
Ben,
the rules are.
let me in on this. Let me let you in on this one. Complimenter shoes. Women love
Here
that.
goes Shelley again with the shoes.
Absolutely.
But of course, you can't compliment Russian women because they wear comfortable shoes, right?
Oh, look, it's 8:01. It's time for our last
BS
break.
in the morning. It is BIMS, and we are winding down the show. But before we do, because it's officially, we did the tree lighting ceremony on Friday night at the Darden Prairie City Hall.
Which was lovely.
It was lots of people there, man. I would
They
say
had more than last year. They
I think it was the
commented on
best they ever had is attendance. I would say that. Would you say over 1,000 people?
that. It was pretty close.
Yeah, it was a lot of people there. Okay, so once again, when you hear the bell, you know, like you should be like Pavlov's dog. When you hear the bell, instead of going to eat something, you're going to go to a store, and you hear that bell, and you're going to find out where that bell is coming from. It might be from the store next to you. It might be down the block. It might be on the other side of the shopping center. You're going to get there as quickly as possible. Reach into your wallet, purse, whatever you carry with you, Merce, if you're one of those kind of guys, and you're going to put money in the kettle, which will help out the Salvation Army people, which will help out could possibly help out your neighbors, and you know what? Could possibly someday help you out as well too. So look at it that way.
That's very true. You know, and plus, every time a bell rings, an angel gets her wings.
I did my good deed for the day.
Have a great day, everybody.
8:04,
Peace.
and now the most.
What are you laughing at now?
Go ahead. Your turn to introduce.
And now the most important man in St. Charles steps up to the microphone and says, I fell for that, didn't I? Put Caleb on and let's just go.
Bye.
Bye.